Welcome to our author panel. I am Jami Brumfield, and I have some amazing guests, special guests who are super awesome. And I have Michelle Fox here, and I have PT Macias, who we're calling Patricia, right? So hey, welcome, ladies. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're going to chat about. Well, let me say real quick before we do that, we're going to chat about characters, and we're going to chat about how to create dynamic, interesting, endearing, fun characters. And so grab your notebook, grab your pen, ask some questions in the chat. Let's get to know each other. And, you know, we're on the hot seat here tonight. We're here for you. So, Michelle, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, I'm Michelle Fox, and I write paranormal romance and urban fantasy. And I run the Wolfpack, which is a reader group, and then I run Wolfpack Promotions, which is an author group. And I'm a mom. I have a tween. She's killing me. I have 2 labs. The tween phase is killing me, I should say. I have 2 labs. I have a black lab comet who's an unrepentant thief, and I have a chocolate lab who is a rescue and has no manners, and a husband from Slovakia, and we just bought an 1860 farmhouse. So I don't know, that's me. That's all I have.
Ladies, one moment here. I'm seeing something in the chat where it's showing that they're not able to hear us. Go ahead and click your microphone real quick and click it back on. Mute it. And let's see if that works.
Can people hear me now?
Can you hear us now? No,
oh
nothing.
My goodness. I don't know.
This has never happened before. Okay,
so,
let me.
I don't know. Let's see. There's an audio setting here.
Let's see this. Let's see.
Oh, it says if you're having issues, try restarting your browser. Oh, that'll be fun.
Okay. Let me try first, and then Michelle, you can try, and then Patricia can try. Hold on. I'll be right back.
All right. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Can you hear me, Patricia? Can you hear me? Nobody can hear me. Wow, that's depressing.
All right, so how's that? Can everybody hear? Jean, Elena, can you guys hear us? Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I can hear you.
Maybe they don't exist anymore.
Patricia. Oh, Patricia went back out and came back in. Still nothing. Okay, let's try. Let's see this. Hold on. Camera, microphone. This is not audio. It says that it's working.
Should I leave and come back?
Yeah, try it. Let's see if it works. Maybe I might just recreate it. Oh, Shanda, here's me and Michelle. Okay.
Okay. Is there anybody else who can hear me? Patricia left. I think she's going to come back, right?
Yeah, she'll be right back. Okay, so, well, here she is. Gotcha.
Okay, and hopefully we all seen our voices now.
Patricia, can you say something so we can make sure that we're hearing you too?
Hi. Nothing?
There we go. No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear both of you.
Oh, good.
All right. Jean, Shanda, Alina, can you guys tell us if you can hear us? All right, so it looks like we should be good. So let's, we got a little technical difficulty there, but we are back on, and it looks like we are good to go. So it looks like they're hearing us. Yep, okay, so everybody's being heard. Okay, so, all right, so let's try this one more time. Hi, everybody. I will I will cut this and take that beginning out so it's all out, but we will have new copies of this. But let's go live here. So I am Jami Brumfield, and this is Author Panel, and today we're going to talk about character development, building characters, creating characters. Thank you so much for being here, Shanda, Jean, Alina. I hope I'm not murdering your names. I'm very bad with names, so please forgive me if I am. We have wonderful guests. We have Michelle Fox and PT Macias, and I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves. I'm sorry, Michelle, you're going to have to do one more intro.
Okay, hopefully I do a better job this time. So my name is Michelle Fox. I write paranormal romance and urban fantasy and, I don't know, random things that interest me. And I run the Wolfpack Reader Group, and I run Wolfpack Promotions, which is for authors. And I teach Facebook ads sometimes. And I live in Ohio with my husband of, I don't know, almost 25 years, and my tween daughter and my 2 labs. And we just bought an 1860 farmhouse that needs a total gut and remodel. So that'll be fun. I'm sure that's going to show up in a book. That's it. That's all I got. I'm not that interesting.
You are very interesting. You are very interesting. No, and Patricia, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yes, hi. I'm Patricia Macias, and I'm retired. I only write. I have 4 grandchildren. My oldest is 21, and my youngest is 7. And they're my pride and joy. I have 3 children, well, grown kids. And I've been married, be 40 years next year in November. And I have a cute little multi-poo. And I write paranormal, contemporary, dark MC romance, and dark mafia. So I have those 2 new series. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. And I'm here hoping to give you guys a little insight what we do or how we do it. But the other girls are the experts. That's it.
So we've
You
got
can
a
ask me
fabulous
anything, though.
panel. We've got a fabulous panel, and I'm so glad that you ladies came to join us on this very first one. I'm so excited about it. So we're gonna open the floor for everybody who's viewing. Go ahead and start asking us questions, and then we can go ahead and start answering them because we're in the hot seat with you guys. So just ask us any kind of questions that have to do with creating characters, making characters endearing, and if you wouldn't mind, share with us what you find endearing about your favorite characters. What makes you love characters? What makes you want to keep reading those characters and hear their stories? Because we'd love to hear from you what you find the most attractive about characters. Are we still, everybody can hear us still?
I hope so.
I'm so worried that we're going to lose that. And while we're pulling that up, who would like to share how they, to start, who would like to share how they actually create characters from scratch? Like what, if you're creating a main character, what is something that you want to, or do you have like a character sheet that you use? Do you just basically say, do you create the character as you're writing the story? Or, I mean, how do you go about creating your characters? Does anybody want to share that while we're waiting for our questions?
I personally, oh, you want to go? Michelle, go for it.
Wait, you go first.
Well, I like to, I get a feel of how they are, where they're going, what's going on in that story, how I want them to come out across strong or whatever their little defects are, or how they come across to the girl, to their lady who they love, what they need to say and do. They're all different. And also look into a lot of the horoscope signs, you know, what kind of traits they have.
Oh, nice idea.
And all to think of them. I don't describe them in too much detail because I like to give the opportunity to kind of imagine their own guy with the just as basic, you know, the color of the eyes, the hair, and whatever. but I don't want to go into too much detail, like if they have a mole on the shin or something, because I don't think that's even that necessary, but that's what I enjoy doing. And I'm really interested to learn what the readers like to look in the story. How much of the characters do they want? Of course, I want them to come alive for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're next.
Well, I'm an organic writer, so probably, it's very organic. Some of the things that I like to do is I like to understand why, because in romance, you're writing about people falling in love. So you have to understand what their obstacles are internally and why they're looking for love, why they believe in love, why don't they believe in love, what is it about them that fits with the person they're going to fall in love with in the story? How do they fit together emotionally and in terms of background? So I try to sit down and understand my emotional backstory and why people are the way they are as they come into the journey I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also really try to create likable or sympathetic moments with my characters as I'm writing. Yes, Jean, I'm kind of seat of the pants, not totally, but outlining doesn't work really well for me. So usually I just sit and think a lot, and then I write when I kind of know where I'm going next. But I'll have just weird flashes of inspiration and just run with it, and it'll turn into something. It's weird. I'd rather be a plotter because I think that's more efficient. Organic is not terribly efficient. Being very intuitive as a writer is not efficient, but I am an INTJ. So that sort of explains why I'm intuitive and organic. So I'd like to give sympathetic, likable moments. I want my hero to do something kind of chivalrous. I want my heroine to have something that people can identify with because we want to create emotional bonds between our characters and our readers. And so that's something that I strive to find those moments. And then I'm always very conscious of trying to give those highlighted moments, the first kiss, the first sign of attraction, making sure that those are set up properly for romance and that are true to the character. So I go with the flow. I look at what my plot is doing and what kind of character works best. And they sort of evolve together. The plot and the character drive each other.
And both of you girls are right on point too with what you're saying. I do a lot of that too when I'm actually creating characters. I guess because I like my characters, my stories to be character driven, and so I look for ways that I can create a character story arc that's going to push that momentum going forward through the whole book and kind of create that along with the subplots. And then right now I'm working on River's Fire, which is a bachelorette werewolf edition kind of thing. It's kind of like the Bachelorette with werewolves. And so it's like, I have to really, I have these short, quick scenes with 10 bachelorettes. And so I have to find ways to really make them stand out. So I've been really focusing in on finding ways to make all of the characters stand out. And so when they're speaking, even their dialogue is kind of different too. So that It kind of creates that. It's easy where you don't have to put all those extra dialogue takes and everything when you've got all the talking heads going on in the scene. And then I look for flaws. What kind of flaw can I make with this character that is going to endear the character to the audience? Because no matter if it's a small character or a large character, that character could wind up getting a book in the future. So I want it to be developed by the time I write the book. So that's kind of my process.
There's a book out. I can't remember what it's called. I think that the author is Damon Suede. I may be wrong on that, but I think that's who the author was. But this author's whole premise was that you give each character an action verb so that defines their reaction to everything in the story. So that can work sometimes with secondary or third tertiary level characters. So you'll have that character who's there to always say no. You have the characters that's there to always say yes, the character that's there to always be sad. And that can help you kind of navigate multiple characters in a scene, because sometimes it gets a little tricky making people sound distinct. I'm often going through my scenes and I'm looking for too many yeses. Like I'm looking for too much agreeableness. And then I go in and I make sure somebody is saying no or throwing some sort of wrench into the work so that it's not super simple and easy. And I thought that was kind of interesting, the idea that you assign a descriptive verb or an action verb to each character and sort of use that to guide how you write them.
I like that. That's a great idea. Well, we got one of our first questions up board. Jean Smith just said, I just participated in NaNoWriMo. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Because NaNoWriMo is a challenge. PT, Patricia, I'm sorry that I'll get you back on here in just a second, but I want to pull this up. I've got about 55,000 words done on my first draft. Awesome job. My concern is that my characters don't have enough depth yet. I only had about a week of prep before starting to work. So who would like to take that first?
Maybe
You want
Patricia.
me to?
Is Patricia here? I can't see her.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can
Yes.
hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my image. I was trying to figure it out. So the question is how to give them more depth, huh? To the character, right?
Yeah, my concern is that my characters don't have enough depth yet. I only had about a week of prep before starting to write. It's a good
Right.
question.
What I
Thank
do?
you.
Well, like Michelle said, it's sort of the same thing. You have to kind of figure out what kind of personality they have, what are their weakness and their strengths, what they hate, and love, and what they're looking for or not looking for, because sometimes they think they're not the one in love and they're going to fall in love. So when you develop, I believe that you develop your sorry, when you develop your character, I like to give them, imagine how they will react to a certain question or situation, and develop their emotions. Try to describe how their facial expression is. If they take a deep breath or they start cussing, bring them make them come alive for your reader. And that's how you develop it. I don't know how else to explain it. Maybe the other ladies can explain it better. But yeah, I'm kind of just like, just write it and no outline, because it doesn't work for me. And whatever comes to me, whatever flows. And when I'm writing that scene and those characters and their questions, I just imagine them and they just come to me. And I don't know how that happens, but it comes with what the question is and then what the answer is, or the reaction, or whatever you want to call it. But Jean, yeah, make sure to give them that, how should I say it, those little traits to bring the character to life.
And Patricia, I like how you said that, the little traits, the little pieces that kind of make them stand out. We kind of both, all three of us have kind of mentioned that. Something, and maybe you ladies would disagree with me on this, but I've seen these character sheets and the stuff out there where you write a whole Bible about your characters.
Mhm.
I don't, from my experience with over 30 books, I don't think those are necessary to give them in depth. I mean, you do want to have specific ideas about them, and you want to know like certain things about their past and how it's going to drive them forward. But not every little thing, like when they were 2 years old, they got a piece of candy from grandma, is going to impact now. Does that make sense? So when you ask about in depth, first, I want to say, Jean, congratulations on 50,000 words in a month. And NaNoWriMo is a big challenge. And the fact that you did it is awesome. Congratulations. Second of all, we can, as authors, I think because we're creators, and I do this with my videos too, right? Because I create videos as well. I think because we're creators, we can get stuck on the small details, and sometimes that will keep us from moving forward. So what my only piece of advice for you is keep writing, get the story written, and then as you're going back through it, find those little pieces of details that's going to make your characters stand out, and find little, flashbacks that can create in-depth character development, and put that in there with the second. when you run through with your rewrite and your second and third draft. And then that way you're not holding yourself back from finishing the story because you're concerned about character depth. Because if you get too wrapped up in that, it could keep you from going forward and getting your book published. Do you ladies agree with me, or do you
Yes.
work with a different process?
Well, I think what I would do and back up and just say, what is the genre? Is it romance?
That's a good point.
I mean, because there's different standards for different genres. And I think, in urban fantasy, you have to understand how characters are presented in different genres. Like urban fantasy, you have to have that very snarky voice. And there's usually some kind of shtick. Certain heroines have like a shoe thing, a t-shirt thing, a chocolate thing, a coffee thing. And that's very prevalent in the best-selling urban fantasy books. And in romance, you need a woman or a man who needs to find their significant other, and you need to know what it is. Sci-fi romance. So you need to know what the constraints are. Why aren't they in a relationship? Are they looking for a relationship? And if they're not, why are they going to accept this relationship? But then also going back to what I said earlier, making sure that you have those moments of likability and empathy. And making sure that there's that moment where the romantic hero does something just really awesome. He catches her before she falls. He stands up for her. Those moments are really important for readers of romance to bond with the story. Hi, Tanya. And then look at what some of the top selling books are doing, and just really analyze the character, how they're establishing character, and then walk away. You kind of wrote that, in a very small period of time. It was probably a little stressful. You felt a little bit pressure cooker, and you might want to walk away for a little bit. It may not be as shallow as you think. It might be just fine. You might not have an issue. So I guess that would be my advice. You want to sort of mirror what other successful authors have done, create your own version of it. But those emotional dynamics for character are really important in romance. So take a step back, go look at some of romance, think about the romance that you love, and think about why you loved those characters. And that might help you identify what you want to imbue in your characters.
Good advice. Good advice.
Mhm.
Well, and then also the fact is that you're doing sci-fi romance. And Michelle, you asked a really great question. I guess because we all write romance, we just kind of assume that's the audience we're talking to, but it's not always true. So I apologize. I should have asked that question too. When you asked it, like, oh man, that's the first question to ask. Good job. With sci-fi romance, you also want to clarify, because that's two really opposite genres. Which one is the most prevalent? Is it romance, and then the sci-fi is just the side effect of that? Because then if it's romance, it's all about romance every single scene you write. But if it's sci-fi, then it's all about the sci-fi every scene you write, and the romance is just an added icing on the cake. Would you guys agree with me on that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, I have the yawns for some reason. Something about being on video makes me want to yawn. I don't know what that's about. Okay.
That's good.
Hi, Tanya.
I figure I'll have another 30 to 50K to finish the first draft. Won't go back until I'm done with the first draft. That is really, and I'm going to tell you, that's the one thing I hear from so many people, is that I can never get my book finished because we get caught up. And I'm glad you're just pushing through to the end and then going, because that's really one of our
you can fix anything you write, but if you don't write it, you can't fix it. And I still struggle with those humps in the story. And it's, my writing, I've written enough books now, I know what my writing process is. So I don't try to push it. I try to roll with how I work, but it's frustrating. It's still frustrating. You still want things to be done and to click and to come in correctly. And you don't want to end up with a 50,000 word thing that has like a major flaw, but that's the creative process. It's very messy sometimes. Even if you are a plotter, it can be very messy because things detour or take a turn.
I love
That's right.
I used to hate plotting, but I love plotting now because it just makes it so easy to write the book.
I like to kind of know where my starting point is, what the main conflict is going to be, and then kind of how I want them to end. And then the rest is sort of a mystery. I don't know who the characters are going to be that show up. And that works really well for my brain. But if I force word count, I will write a bunch of crap that makes no sense. So I don't force my word count. If it's not there, it's not there. And if I plot, I lose all interest. I don't know why, but I do. I just lose all interest. I'm like, this is boring. I already know this. I'm done.
Because you know what's coming.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, because I kind of know what's coming when I'm doing my version of plotting. I don't know what the excuse is. I just don't know, but it's just unsatisfying, I guess. There's no adventure to it.
Yeah.
It's creative.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So,
and I think this is great. This panel is great, doing these panels, because we all have different processes that we do, and you just got to find what works right for you. I mean, what works for me may not work for another person. What works for Michelle may not work for somebody else. So you just got to find what works for you. And then once you get into that groove, you're producing what? I mean, I have 30 books. Michelle, how many books do you have?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even count them. I don't even care. I'm like, I wrote books. There are books. And then there's stuff where we co-authored a little bit, but I don't know, at least 10.
And Patricia,
I don't count any of it. I'm just like, there's a book. There's my list. Go look.
Exactly. And Patricia, you're like at 100. So I mean, we're doing. I mean, once you get into your groove, once you figure out what works for you, it's just really easy to just figure that out. But it's your first book, and so definitely, Jean, find that process that makes you comfortable, and you're just gonna shine. You're already there. You're getting the story written.
It takes a while to figure out how you work. It takes more than one story. It takes more than one book. And I don't particularly like my writing process. I hate it, but it's just how my brain works. And it's just, so I just got to roll with it. But I was going to add that I'm working on a book now. It's the third book. Oh, well, this is a nice arrangement.
Well, now Patricia will show up here and I won't be blocking her face.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm working on a third in a trilogy, and I'm sort of know where I'm going, but I'm struggling. I'm at the point where I'm struggling with it. And so one of the things that I did was I sort of mirrored what the main character was doing in my office. So I have some props that represent some of the stuff that she's trying to get or attain or to review or to do, just to kind of give myself those prompts visually to put me more into that story. And I don't know if that works, but I'm trying it. It's an interesting idea just to help my brain sort of unlock where that character lives.
Yeah.
That's right.
You have to let us know how that works for you.
Yeah, I'll let you know if it's the secret sauce.
We all have our secret sauce, right? We have another question from Jean. It says, character arcs versus plot arcs. Can you elaborate the difference?
I mean, I can tell you what it means to me. There's probably some official definition out there somewhere that I'm not following. But, the plot arc is the things that happen to the characters. And then the character arc is how the characters change to me. For romance, it's how the characters meet and how they get to know each other and how they decide that they're in love. And then how they battle through whatever the obstacles are from the plot to get to their happy for now or happily ever after ending. So that's how I define it. Romance is an emotional genre. There are other genres, maybe thrillers, maybe some pure science fiction that don't have much of a character arc. So, I mean, if you think about Clive Cussler books, for example, I read a lot of those in my 20s. I really enjoy them, and my husband will read them, and my husband's not a reader, so they're good books. But they're action adventure, and they're military kind of Navy ocean action adventure, and there's very little of the character's personal life in any of the books. Very, very little slivers of it. So it just depends on your genre. Romance, you got to care. And you have to make sure that you have both a plot and emotional development for the couple throughout the story. And that's two big threads that you have to manage in the genre, which I think is kind of what makes it such a challenging genre. That's why, people who get uppity from other genres and are like, I'll write a romance and I'll show them how easy it is. And then they start writing it. And all of a sudden, they've not had to tap dance through an emotional arc and a plot arc at the same time. And they start to understand that it's not so simple.
It's not.
I mean, I don't know. Has anyone done that lately, or have they finally realized romance is legit? I don't know, because that used to be like a thing like 10 years ago. I thought it was hard to write a romance, or easy. I'm sorry. I thought it was easy. And I thought these romance ladies were just stupid. And then I went to write, and it was hard.
You say that, and I'm laughing, like really laughing really hard over here. I mean, I'm trying not to interrupt what you're, because it will pull our mic, but I'm laughing really hard because I said the same thing 10 years ago. I can write romance better than this.
Oh, whoops. Sorry.
And what am I doing? I'm writing romance. But here's the funny thing about that is that I started writing, I was going to write romance, and all of a sudden I'm writing new adult sci-fi, fantasy fiction, paranormal. I'm writing sci-fi romance. I'm writing paranormal romance. I write paranormal mystery. So I said, oh, I can write romance, but yet I write all of these different genres. Why? Because I thought, oh, I can write romance. But it was what got me started. And I think that's the key, is that it actually got me motivated. But my very first book was supposed to be a romance, and it's actually a mature young adult, new adult, paranormal fantasy fiction romance. So it's not necessarily romance, but yeah, you're right. Cause like, it is hard it is very hard to write romance, and it is the emotional aspect, and it is driving it's not just it's like, Jean's question, it's not just the plot that drives you forward. When you're writing a mystery, it's the plot that drives you forward. Right. When you're writing a sci-fi fantasy adventure, it's the plot that drives you forward. Right. But when you're writing a romance, you got two. You got that character arc, which basically this character has to come from, to me, my definition of character arc is, I have a character who starts out and she or he has issues, and there's something that basically needs to be fixed through the arc of the story. And that's their character arc. So during the story, they need to become better people, however it is, right? So there's a problem here, and then they got to become better people. And that to me is the character arc. And if that character arc is not answered by the final page, then I failed somehow on that character arc. I mean, I have to go back and figure out how to fix that, because and then you've got your plot that drives you forward too. So the two separate drive you actually forward. And I think the character arc for me comes when I'm working out what my characters are going to be. Yeah. Patricia?
Yeah.
Hi, we see you, Patricia.
Can you see me?
Yep.
Yes, we can. Oh. Well, cursed. She's gone now. So, Shanda, I mean, just to respond to Shanda's comment, you're probably right, but I just think that's
I crashed.
Great. All right.
Because you already took the journey with them plotting, and it's been on your brain.
Yeah, but I think that's a lame brain. Then I would like a different brain, please. I want a brain that cooperates with plotting. That'd be nice. and Jean, often your first draft is really just your plot, and it's the second draft where the character arcs really get stronger and get fleshed out, and that's easier to do than to try and create a plot or to fix a bad plot. So, I think it's good when the plot's pretty much squared away in the first draft, and then you just have to go in and make your characters feel more like people and feel more real.
Yeah. I was worried I didn't have it because I did plot and subplot arcs, but I'm seeing that I do. I just haven't drawn out.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll fix that in editing. That's usually pretty simple fix. And you get better with experience. And I hate to say it, this is where I think romance is easy, in the sense that the emotional dynamics from each story to story, from book to book, they are the same. So you're meeting someone, you're falling in love with someone, you're having a happily ever after some kind of conflict. And those emotional cues all have the same body language. And, they use a lot of the same language. I'm surprised that we don't have more scenes across romance that don't read almost verbatim. You've got to think there's only like 1,000 or 3,000 total words that go into those types of emotional scenes. And it's just interesting. So the good news is, once you get used to those emotional moments during the character arc for a romance, you know what needs to happen. And then the challenge becomes making them fresh so you aren't using the same words over and over and over again.
Patricia, poor Patricia. She's gone
I
again.
know, the technology is just not loving us tonight at all.
I know, and this usually works really well. Like I stream through this service all the time. I don't know why we're having.
It's me. I'm the glitch queen. Haven't you ever seen me refer to myself that way? I glitch everything. Everything glitches on me. Everything. Don't let me within 100 miles of the first live shuttle to Mars. It'll crash and burn because I'm there. No, it's constant. I get constant crap from technology. It's like, we don't like her aura.
You've got such a stunning aura that it just conflicts with the technology. That's what it is.
Yeah, I have a gift. What can I say? I was recording videos today, and the software has updated to where you have to pay. It was a free software, so they just cut me off. And I'm like, you guys couldn't have a pop-up? You couldn't like warn me and give me a chance to pay the stupid thing. So I went and I paid it, and then they cut me off anyways. The second video. And I'm like, this is my life.
It's your electric personality. Oh, Shanda and I are on the same wavelength. You're magnetic.
Yeah. I'm magnetic. For bullshit. Yes.
I love it. I love it.
So,
I'm glad we can help you with the questions, Jean. Does anybody else have any, or Jean, do you have any more questions? Does anybody have any more questions for us? Because we are here ready to
rock and roll.
Answer. I was going to say rock and roll. I'm like, maybe that makes me sound like I'm from the 80s, so I'll not say it. I'm so glad you said it because I was going to say it.
It's not wrong. I love it. It's okay to be from the 80s. I'm not a boomer. Well, you know, the whole, actually, no, I'm Gen X. So you know what the thing is, like the okay boomer, Gen X is okay Karen. And then my daughters, because apparently Gen X is all Karens, we're all like, oh yeah, it's terrible. And then my daughter's generation, it's okay edgelord. So we've been running around the house going, okay Karen, okay boomer, okay edgelord.
I have heard that. Okay, boomer. What is with that? Okay, boomer. I've heard that. I think I had to read it for something I was writing. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. The generation stuff is kind of interesting. I can see that coming into play. You know, it might be interesting to think too about what generation your character is, but also what generation is going to read your book. You know, it's like I tell my daughter that her childhood has literally nothing in common with mine, you know, and it changes and I can't even, she will experience so many new things by the time she's 18. I can't even fathom that kind of childhood where every time you turn around, something is totally innovated and totally new. I can't even, I just had a regular 1980s childhood, you know, get out of the house and here's a peanut butter and jelly. You know, that was it. That was all of it, you know?
I loved our childhood. I loved that. Like, okay, so yeah, Jean, you said put it down the 80s. I'm actually from the 80s, so I really can't put it down either. But
yeah.
76 baby here. But no, I loved our childhood. Like I look at what my daughter, just like you, Michelle, and I'm sure, Patricia, you feel the same way with your kids and your grandkids, right? Like, okay, so I look at my daughter, she's 3 years old. And right now the big thing is, you know, video games and everything. And all I want to do is take her to the park or take her, you know, for a bike ride when she's able to ride a bike. You know, it's like, I want to take her outside, but it just seems, you know, like
screens,
that's not.
You got to fight the screens. And it's hard. Like my daughter, we were talking, my daughter didn't sleep. And let me explain to you, she literally never slept. So she didn't sleep at night. She didn't nap during the day. I actually developed a cardiac arrhythmia because between the sleep deprivation and the caffeine I was consuming, my heart was affected. I ended up quitting my job because I had somebody driving me to work because I didn't want to drive anymore because I wasn't sleeping. And yeah, So she never ever slept. So she had screens early because I couldn't function otherwise. So we did the baby Einstein videos, which are very slow, very brain appropriate. But she would watch TV because I didn't know what to do with her. She was one of those kids I had to take her out of the house every day. She couldn't be home. So yeah. I kind of forgot what my point was on that one. But yeah, the screens come in and there's nothing there. It's like they're like parasites, that's infectious. But yeah, I vote for fewer screens. It's not good for the brain.
Well, you have to give them, though. You have to give them screens because otherwise they'll be behind all the other kids in school.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
You have to have
They
that.
pick it up so fast. They pick it up so fast.
Okay.
What we emphasize is that screens are a tool. So if you're not creating something, then you don't need to be on a screen. We really frown on passive consumption. She plays some games and she does some, silly stuff on YouTube, but we really frown in our family on passive consumption. Technology is a hammer. It's a tool that you're to use. So she's learning how to do Photoshop right now, and she's learning how to record and edit podcasts. And so that's kind of what we've been trying to impart to her, is that you don't just sit and stare at a screen all day, but then I sit and stare at a screen all day, so I'm a terrible role model.
But it's a tool.
Exactly.
It's your tool. This is your tool, though. So that's great. Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. And Patricia, do you agree? I think Michelle's point is really good. Like, you have to think about who's reading it. Because I look back at my first book, and my character is a 18-year-old or 17-year-old, almost 18-year-old, and she's got a flip phone. And I'm thinking to myself, I need to go back and update that.
Well, my daughter has the flip phone, and some kids do get flip phones. Although in my area, my daughter is like, I think the only flip phone in a 100-mile radius, because every time she's with a group of kids, she has a cluster of them around her going, oh my God, what is that thing? And she's like, it's my flip phone. And they've never seen it. So we're sort of unique in that.
And the reader.
Some parents do it. Some parents still give out the flip phones.
Oh my gosh.
Really, catches those little things, and sometimes they get upset if you put a flip phone instead of something more current, or the older phones. Yeah, I've seen readers get upset. So I kind of try not to get too much in the fashion of what they're wearing, because obviously I'm not going to be going back every 2 or 3 years to update it, because we have too much work already. And so I try not to get too much into that, describing too much on their fashion, if they're in fashion or not. Basic things like a sweater or jeans or something, so the reader can imagine their own, clothing that they're wearing, something in their generation or something right now happening. There's always so many fads going on. And so that's what I do. I also try to do classical clothing, the classics, the ones that never really leave people. Some people wear a lot of classic clothing. They come back, they're always there. They change the color only or whatever, but they're there,
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that. You have to try to pay attention to those little details, because the readers sure do.
Yeah, sort of evergreen your characters so that in 100 years they'll still be relatable. And it's a real fine line. I don't claim to be an expert, but you have to start. How do people build images in their heads when they're reading? How much information do they need? What is giving them too much? Where will they fill in the blanks with what they want to see? And that's a real art.
Exactly. And if you give them too much, I read books myself where they describe the wood grain, and, they go into so much deep detail on the wood, and then so much detail on the color, and, they don't get to the freaking story. And I'm here going, okay, what's going to happen next? Or not give enough where they can't imagine it. So you're right, 100%. Also, I think it also has to do with how they read. Some people read like, let me read this book, and they're not getting it, absorbing it. They're not imagining it. And then they go, what happened? Well, they're not following it. They're not reading it. They're not absorbing. They're not enjoying it. So you miss half the stuff. Of course, you'll know what happened. Yeah, that's my thing. That's what I think.
if I have an important plot point or something I want to make sure they notice, I mention it more than once because people absolutely skim over stuff and race through stuff. In terms of the quantity of description and setting and character description, I try to limit it to 1 to 3 sentences, and I don't do a huge laundry list because people can't hold it in their heads. They give them like top 3 things. And don't worry too much about the rest of it unless you have to. We're not a description heavy genre like history. If you're writing historical romance, maybe, but most romance is a contemporary type genre, and you need to move through the plot. People don't want to wade through paragraphs.
Exactly.
Well, and you're 100% right. We're not writing literary fiction, so we're not going to be put on a pedestal in college classes for our romance books. Maybe, you never know. But
maybe in 100 years.
Maybe in 100 years, people are going to be like, yes, people used to write books. Here's a book by Michelle Fox. But Brumfield, maybe. But right now, we're a genre fiction. That's what we write. And so we just don't, it just doesn't, it's not that necessary. It's not that, do they call it prose? I don't know the literary term, but it's called prose or something like that, where you're just so flowery. People will actually give you bad reviews for being too flowery in romance.
Oh, yeah.
Jean, I see your comment there. People speed read romance because they've read so much romance that they recognize the pattern. So what happens is they get to the part where, this is the part where they describe the character, and they just blow through it. And this is the part where they see those patterns over and over and over again. So they start speeding up as they read through them. And one of the things that I've tried to do, and I will say, I think it's reflected in my reviews. I get called out a lot for having a unique plot in a good way. And I sit there and I think, what would be surprising? What would be unusual? What would be super interesting? Because, if I'm just like every other romance out there, they do sort of read you on autopilot, which I guess would be a good thing because then you just get lumped in with all the stuff they like about romance. They didn't actually pay attention, so you get a 5-star review. Right? I mean, there are those readers out there who are just flying through it and just looking for the highlights that they enjoy about the genre. And they don't really need you to be too interesting. I don't know.
A lot of people say that they read through the sex scenes too. Like people just.
Oh, I do. I have zero interest. It's just whatever. It's a workman's holiday. Skipping over. What's happening next in the plot?
Okay. But for some people, that's really important to them because that's why they're reading romance, because they're trying to get that fantasy in their own life. They don't, necessarily have that extension. So, it's kind of a fine line. But I think the big thing is, and maybe this will help too, look at the genre that you're writing and look at how many words are expected in that genre for the word count and kind of see if you've got a higher word count than that, see if there's a way to either split the series up or cut scenes out and put those deleted scenes in the back of the book or whatever you want to do, right? You can include them, but, or you can include them in a whole book that's all dedicated to deleted scenes if you want to in the future. But I think, if you really look at the word count, I think that helps a lot because people don't want all of that other stuff. And if you look at the word count, it can help you narrow it down.
Yeah. Just so you know, Jamie, I lost the comments. It took away the entire option and all I have left is private chat. So you're going to have to highlight them. I can see them on the screen when you bring them up, but I lost the sidebar. It just went poof. I saw it. It just went poof like that. So
go ahead and refresh your screen. It should be back there.
Oh, how weird. Oh, sorry. Don't mean to be distracting. I just want to make sure we all knew what people could see.
We like answering you guys. Like, here's the deal. Like, I usually pick unless I'm working with a brand new author, the people I talk to are the people who I ask to come on the show love talking to you because the whole purpose to the show is not us talking. It's the chat back and forth with the audience. And so that's really big for me. So the reason why I think, Michelle, you were kind of hit it on the nose. We don't want to miss your comments. We like to talk back.
So the classes were full of narrative. And I think we're going to have to admit that attention span is changing as technology becomes more pervasive, and the way that they have engineered social media to create dopamine hits so that it's addictive. You've got to make your fiction create dopamine hits now. This is a sad but true fact. Goldfish have longer attention spans than humans.
You're probably right.
That's a fact. So you got like 3 seconds or so to hook the human brain, and you've got like 7 or 8 seconds with a goldfish. I wish the goldfish could read. So it's absolutely
That's
true.
funny.
So the attention span is definitely eroding because of technology. It allows us to drink in so much content so quickly that books have to be very peppy now. They've got to really be agile and interesting and full of bright, shining objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the more bright, shining objects that you can keep straight, but don't put so much in there that you can't keep straight, because the reader will call you on that too. They'll say, whoa, you left us hanging on 4 different plot points. What the hey?
Yeah. Yeah. Closure is good. Clarity is good. Closure is good. Yeah.
Do you see this, Patricia? If you look at the classics, they're full of narratives these days. Do you want to comment on that one?
Let me think. Let me see. I saw it, but I wasn't, analyzing it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, well, that's true. They do want instant gratification, and like you said, Michelle and Jamie, you have to grab their attention from the very beginning, because if it's kind of like they're not going to get the exciting part, like in chapter 2 or 3, they're going to just stop reading. They want to know right from the first few paragraphs that it's exciting, and they want to know what's going to happen. Then they continue reading, and you give them more, and you just string them along. But yeah, it's hard to do that. And for the classics, well, it's not like that anymore.
Shanda, I think that we kind of hit that on that question. Did that kind of answer your question, Shanda, or did you want more detail on that? We were answering both. Oh, you got more? Okay, Michelle.
Well, I think, yes, you have every chapter that I write, I try. I'm not saying I'm totally successful, particularly in the muddly middle, but every chapter I treat as a mini story. So every chapter has to have a hook.
That's good.
So I always try to start with a hook, and I try to end with a hook, and I try to have rising action and rising stakes throughout the chapter. And so if you treat each chapter like a story that has to matter and be interesting, your book will naturally have hook after hook after hook after hook.
Exactly.
It'll happen naturally.
I agree.
I think you're actually right, because I actually wrote a book like that. So I wrote a book back, it was 5-6 years ago. It was Rain's Thunder, and it's literally, I got it right here. It's this thick. I mean, it's a thick book.
Wow.
That's a big book.
I don't do big ones anymore.
No, but see, here's how I did it. And this might be an idea. I'm kind of playing off of what you're talking about, Michelle, is I wrote it in 6 different mini books. So this is 6 different books. And so each mini book had a bachelor that she was hooking up with, kind of thing, and trying that out. And then the next mini book would have one. So it and then the last one would bring them all together. So it was kind of like every single chapter, and I think you kind of hit on this too. Every single chapter ends with like a kind of a cliffhanger. And I think James Patterson taught me that too in the class I took with him, is make every chapter end with a cliffhanger and make them short. Make the chapter
short. It doesn't in romance, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a super, because people get freaked out. They're like, oh my God, I have to have a really high quality cliffhanger. No, it just has to be enough. So, it can be emotional resonance. That can be enough to keep you, because then they care, right? If they care more at the end of the chapter, they're going to keep reading. They're hooked. So you can hook them on emotional resonance. You can hook them on a plot point. You can hook them on a ticking clock. It doesn't have to be that it's, Mission Impossible cliffhanger every chapter. It doesn't have to be that big, but it does have to be there.
Yeah. I think you're right on that. You're 100% on that. Patricia, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that Michelle's kind of really described it pretty good. It doesn't have to be something big as long as you just keep them reading to what's going to happen on the next chapter.
Yeah, get them wondering, get them caring, make it feel like something imminent is going to change.
Exactly. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Are they going to save her?
The plot of, it was Rare State. I forgot the title of my book.
I don't remember mine.
And I got a really great review that said it reminded them of like Ilona. Is it Andrews? Oh, geez, my brain is not working. But it was a really nice review. And I went and I reread the book recently and I made some notes on some things I'm going to change. But it was a really hard plot because I have a psychic who's so psychic, she always knows everything. So how do I hide the villain from her? Like, how do I mean, I did some tap dancing in that book and I pulled it off. So what'd you do? Oh gosh, I just made it. I made it so that she was having a hard time understanding what she was seeing. Like she could see everything. Because, there's one thing, you can see the entire murder. But if you don't understand what's happening, then it doesn't matter. And so she had this murder mystery where she could see everything. She could see the moment the guy died. She could see the killer. She saw everything and none of it added up. And that was really interesting to pull off. And it did work. I didn't know if it worked when I published the book. I was like, let's see what happens. And then I got that really amazing review and I went back and read it. And I'm like, yeah, there's some things I want to strengthen and some tweaks I want to make, but it worked. I somehow did it. But that's the kind of thing you want to do, because if you can leave your protagonist stumped, and they have no clue what's going on and it's believable, then your readers like I do not know how this plot's going to work. And now I'm surprising them and I'm not on a pattern they've seen before. So they can't race through it. They have to stop. They have to pay attention. They have to think. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that again, but it worked really well. Yeah, it was really interesting. Crap.
That's awesome.
Damn, that's a book. I can't remember my book.
Remember and then put it in the comment section here so people could check it out. They can come back and check it out, because that sounds like a great book. Yeah, and that's what keeps people wanting to read not just that book and staying up all night long to read that book, but they want to read the next book. They want to check it out. So I don't see any more questions, so I hope I'm not missing any comments here, but I wanted to ask one question. I wanted to kind of ask us a question that's been kind of floating around lately in the author community is killing off our characters.
Oh my God. I don't like that. I read several books like that. And it just devastates me. Well, I go, what was the purpose of reading this darn book? There's nothing there.
I did have a hero that I wrote once that decided to die, and I swore at him a lot, and I'm like, that was not what the story's about. And I made him come back to life.
Yeah, it's painful. I can't kill mine. I'd rather have him disappear, but I can't kill him.
But I did. I had a guy die, and I'm like, oh no, you can die.
Oh my God! I read like 5 stories lately that they killed them, and I'm like, no, they didn't. The author did this. No, she didn't. And I'm going, she did this.
So they're really killing all the characters. They're truly killing them all.
Yeah.
Yes. I read like 5 stories. They killed them all. And I'm going, my God.
It's insane. And here's the thing. And I think it's because some people got online and started saying, okay, so authors, we're sick and tired of you not killing off the main characters. It's life. Life is messy. People die. And I think people started taking that to heart. Authors started taking that to heart. And all of a sudden we see main characters getting killed off. And to me, it's just, every time I ask this question, whether it's live or,
they're popular.
Yeah, and people don't like it. Like every single time I ask this question, authors, especially independent authors, hate that. And then the other thing that I'm hearing is that the fans hate that. Like, look at
But
this.
they love to hate it. You know, it's good
I
when
know.
you can hate, because on social media you can do all the GIFs, and you can do the GIF reviews or GIF review, however you say it, on Goodreads and stuff, and you can get some cachet for doing a really good takedown of this book that you all hate together. I mean, there's some community building in that, but I would caution authors who want to build a long-term brand and have any longevity in their career, because you're showing readers you can't be trusted. And I think that that's not really a good move. I think that's pretty.
I didn't like it. I don't like it. I won't do it.
Yeah, I think
Especially in
the
that.
series she killed off her protagonist. And what's her career been like since she did that? I mean, yeah, she sold the movie rights, but I don't know how. I haven't heard about any other series she's written. I don't think she's broken out since then. So you limit yourself. I'm sorry?
Which author were you talking about?
It was the lady who wrote the Divergent series.
Yeah, that's the exact one I was thinking of. And that's when it all started coming out. Like, people are like, okay, guys, authors, you need to kill off some of these main characters, these lovable characters. And I'm sitting here going, no, because I think you hit it on the nose, Michelle, is the trust. Like, people like to trust that they know kind of an idea of what they're getting when they buy a specific author. Yeah, we change things up. We want to be, spontaneous as we're writing our scripts, and we want to make sure that we surprise our readers and that kind of thing. But we stick with a certain, like, when you read one of my books, it's going to be a lot of crap coming at the characters all at once, and then they got to kind of figure through it. When you read one of my books, it's probably going to have ancient gods in it, the Greek gods, those kind of things show up in my books all the time. So my fans know what to expect from me. And I think the same thing is with you, Michelle. I think the same thing is with you, Patricia, Michelle, is that your fans know what to expect. And if we start killing off our characters, the lovable characters, I think I don't know, guys, tell me, would you be pretty upset with us?
I can't do it. I can't do it. And also because romance in itself, that's what it is. The romance for them to, get a happily ever after and you kill them, that's not it. But the only time I can see that we can do that, Michelle, Jamie, when we're doing the paranormal romance, because you can kill them then, you're bringing them back to life. But just contemporary romance where they kill them, that devastated me. I don't like it.
I did have a contemporary romance where it did appear that he died, but he didn't, and he came back at the end of the book. No. So I mean, you can use it as a plot device. You can use it as a plot device, but don't use it as your plot. I don't think that's really smart. Okay, and the title of my book was Killer Stakes. I found it. Killer Stakes was the book where I did that. But yeah, it's funny. I publish them, and I'm all about them when I publish them, and then I just sort of forget them.
I know. I do the same.
Jean and Tanya both agree with us with what we're saying too. Like, I've seen it with Reincarnation from Jean, and then they eventually get back together. And then I've seen him bring character who was killed off. So yeah, I think, and here Jean said it. I mean, that's the way I feel too. Oh yeah, you'd lose readers big time. I think that we would. I think that you come to expect a certain thing from your authors, and maybe some authors can pull that off. But like you said, Divergent was huge. And then the character was killed off.
I don't think she went anywhere after that. I don't think she retained much of her fan base. Let's see. What was her name? Let's do some real-time research here. What was her name? Does anybody remember?
Oh,
I didn't even read it. Were they good?
It was.
I didn't know that she killed off her.
It was a great series. Gent. Does anybody watching know the author of Divergent?
No, I didn't even read it. I have no clue what they were about.
When I watched the movie actually didn't kill off the character.
No, Veronica Roth.
Yeah, and the movie didn't kill off the character. So the movie did, but the movie didn't. If I remember.
I mean, that's what I feel like. An author, she's not really done too much. All right, let me see what her social media looks like here. I know Hollywood's not stupid, so they were like, "No, we're not killing anybody off."
Yeah, she hasn't done much.
But you can kill a secondary character.
But that was the main character.
Yeah, I'm just looking at.
I am too. I'm looking on my other
She doesn't
computer.
have any fan groups. She doesn't have any fan groups on social media.
She has
And,
a book
no, not
in
placement.
2017 called Carve the Mark.
And she does not even have a Facebook presence, not even a fan page. So it's really hard. What that suggests to me is that people didn't stay bonded to her brand. And so, yeah, she made a lot of money, and I hope she saved it because she screwed herself in the long run. That's not something I would ever advise people to do.
You know, and everybody has to take a chance. Maybe she's decided to write under a different pen name because, again, she was a great author and she had Divergent was actually a really great series until that one piece. And then I just remember the uproar that happened.
I mean, it's better to write a bad book. Like I've written bad books, and they're you can't buy them anymore. But I've written some bad books, and thought they were good enough to publish, and then went, oh, okay, no, they're not. And I survived that. You can survive a bad book, but you won't survive killing off your favorites. No. You've got to have a pretty active fan base. I just, no. Well, a lot of fiction is aspirational. A lot of fiction is a lot of the commercial fiction is really Mary Sue. It's about the insertion of the reader into the heroine's shoes. And so they want if they're living that fantasy as they read your book. So that's the exception. That's the exception to the Mary Sue thing where you don't want to write Mary Sue's, except when you're in commercial fiction. And that's the whole point is you're creating a fantasy for someone to sort of live as they read your book. And you've got to make sure you're giving them something really fun to do. And death is not, no.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I don't like it either.
Said when we read, we become part of the story. So killing off the main character is brutal for us. I agree. And then, and I have to be honest with you. I remember because there's most of the books that I read are all independent books, and very rarely do I ever get a book that's published by a publishing house because I want to support my indie community. Yeah. So I usually get independent books, but that is one series I actually read.
Oh yeah.
I remember at the very end of the book, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't pick it up because I heard that she killed her protagonist. I'm like, that's dumb. I'm not reading that. And that was before I was even really, I think, writing. I don't think I'd really publishing yet when that all broke. So she'll be infamous. She'll go down in history for that. But yeah.
Whatever, but if you kill your brand, you can always come back with a new name. Isn't JD Roth also I know. Well, I haven't killed my brand yet, but JD Roth is also what's that girl's name? Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling is JD Roth, right? So, sometimes you can come back with a new name. And like I said, she's a good author. It's just really sad the way
But with the way advertising and all of that works now, she won't get, the idea is now if you have to reinvent yourself that you have commercial assets on social media that you can leverage for whatever genre you write under whatever name. And she doesn't have any of it. Mm-mm. So that it's going to be harder for her than it would be for someone like J.K. Rowling who retained her fan base.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I think it's very interesting. The risks that we take as authors for our brand. But I think we hit it right on the nose. You have to really always keep in mind your brand because your readers they just expect it from you. Even if you write in a different genre, even if you write a totally different book that's not like your typical, you got to keep your brand. And I think
literary fiction, you can do woo-woo stuff, but not in commercial fiction. In commercial fiction, you need to meet people's expectations. So if you want to kill off everyone in your book, you go write some literary stuff,
Yeah.
That's where you do that. You don't do it in commercial fiction. It's just kind of silly.
Maybe that's just trying to blend the commercial fiction with the literary fiction. I don't know. It's very interesting, but that's a good point too. Like you do kill them off in literary. Thanks, Shanda. You're right. JD Robb is Nora Roberts. Love her too.
Yes. But she didn't keep that a secret. Everybody knew. It's just JD Robb does the sci-fi, like police procedurals with some romantic elements. So, yeah. She's very prolific. She writes a lot.
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
I don't have that. That's not me. That's never going to be me.
Is it really her, or is it ghostwriting that they get for their brand?
Wonder, don't you? She may have pitched it. She may have written a couple of the beginning books and then handed it off like a James Patterson. I don't know.
Well, James Patterson, and you're right, because I took a class with James Patterson. He actually does co-writing, and he does actually get involved. And when he does co-writing with his authors, because the class that I took actually, I don't know if they're still doing it because I took a 3-year hiatus, but before the 3-year hiatus, they were actually every quarter, they did a new contest for the people who were in that class to actually apply to write with him. And what he did was he gives them the outline. He says, here you go. Here's your outline. Now write my story.
Yeah.
So that's the way they collaborated. From the, I don't know.
He's still hands-on. Sometimes they just, like the Nancy Drew books or whatever, they just hand it off to anybody. Or Warrior Cats, which my daughter's very upset with because the quality went downhill. Informed that Warrior Cats was a bad book series from the beginning, but that's not what she thought when she was 8.
You got your own little critic at home. Jules says, I think for the right story, you can kill a protag off, but you have to lead your readers through it. I think that's one thing that with Divergent series, nobody expected it. But again, it goes back to the whole idea of war, and you're in war. Divergence was a war, and readers want realism.
I just don't buy it. I just, what, the point of reading a story like that with a character like that is that she's the one who survives to tell you about the war. That's the whole point. And you just violated, people do survive wars. I mean, they die, but they also survive. So, don't set us up as if this is the story of the person who was there, who witnessed it and survived, and then kill them. That's just, I think the author either had a contract issue with her publisher, or she got sick of the story and got tired of it. And I will tell you, those traditional publishing contracts are a bitch. And if you're stuck in one that you're not happy about, killing off your protagonist is one way to stop it. That's true. I don't know how you sell it to them, but she may have purposely wanted out of the contract. I don't know.
That is a really good point. We can't know.
That's a good idea. That's probably what happened.
That is a really good point, because they are kind of hard to get out of, the.
I have a friend who has a fantasy series that was fairly popular, and then the publisher dropped her. And she had a really good agent. She had like Donald Moss or whatever for her agent. And he just, and but her series is homeless because it's trapped in limbo because of the rights, but she can't continue to write in it. And it's like, well, I mean, if people see the writing on the wall, they might just kill it off. I don't know.
Well, but not all those contracts, you can still write independently. You can do, most of them don't take all your series, just the one series, right? Like they'll take the one book and then they'll see how it sells. And
who knows what kind of stuff people sign before they're big, and who knows what kind of rights grabs were in the contract with the publisher before they knew she was going to be big. I mean, it just, who knows? Maybe she was dealing with illness and knew she wasn't going to be able to write regularly. Who knows? She just wanted to get out. I don't know. But it strikes me with that example, it just strikes me as a decision that was driven by more than the story. There probably was some underlying business or life rationales driving it. I don't know. It's just kind of my feeling there. Sometimes you can read books and you can see what's going on. You can tell where the author got tired or got sick of it or didn't know what to do. You can see that in other people's work sometimes.
You really can. Yeah. Well, and we do have here, she is writing a new Carve the Mark duology. It's called Carve the Mark. It's coming out. What came out in 2017 and Fates Divide 2018. So maybe she just decided she wanted to kill the.
Is it the same publisher?
Huh?
Is it the same publisher?
Poor
Miss Ron.
It's not listed to publisher, so I'm not sure. I'd have to do a little bit more research. But yeah, it's interesting. Jean, to answer your question, yes, I took my hiatus right before I wrote Rivers Fire. Rivers Fire will be out in February, so it's coming. I'm working on it right now. Thanks for asking. Yeah, so Rivers Fire is coming. Sorry, guys. It's just she asked that. So, any other questions for us, everybody? Any character questions or what you got us? Any other kind of questions? So I think that pretty much sums it up. But ladies, do you have anything else you'd like to add to close it out?
No, I can't think of anything.
Well, I got to say, this is our first panel, our first author panel, and it was amazing. You ladies were the bomb. Our guests were the bomb. Our audience was the bomb. And I am just so ecstatic at how wonderful we got to chat with everybody and talk. And it just really brought up some great stuff. So thank you for those who came and asked questions and contributed within the chat. And thank you, Michelle and Patricia. You're always welcome back. Always welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Huh?
Nice, thank you for inviting me.
It was nice meeting everybody.
It was nice seeing you guys. Bye.
This was great. Hold on. Let us know. I want you, if you wouldn't mind, ladies, just telling us where everybody can find your books. And if you have anything special right now that you'd like to tell them about a specific book or anything like that, then please take a moment and.
Well, of course, Amazon and all the major outlets. Yeah. And of course, I'm really excited with my 2 new series, Elite Power and my Kate's Knights motorcycle series. My paranormal's kind of been sit back to get a little break from it. So I'll probably start maybe in another year or 2 on back on that probably, because I'm going to be focusing on these other 2 series this coming year. So that's it. That's what I'm excited about. Thank you for showing up.
So yeah, I'm on all major retailers, and if you're an author and you're not in Wolfpack Promotions, come and hang out with us. And that's it. I don't have anything too exciting, unless you want to talk about 1860 farmhouses and wrapping Christmas presents. That's my immediate stuff in front of me. Yeah.
Well, you both are coming on next week to do an individual chat too, right?
Yeah,
so look for our individual chats where just Michelle and I and Patricia and I will be chatting about different things. So we'd love to have y'all. And yeah, definitely. It was awesome. So thanks so much for coming on and so much for being part of the panel. You're always welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, ladies. Bye, men. Bye, gentlemen. Bye, ladies. We got males and females out there in the audience today. So thanks and so much for tuning in. This is the author panel, and we will see you next week for Paranormal Chat. And then the week after that, we'll be back with another author panel talking about something new. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.